governed by the rules, and those are based on some basic principles of checking, and there should be justice of administration. Now, the body of such rules, norms, and principles collectively known as the rule of law. Now, this law ensures safety for every citizen and punishment for those who commit any kind of crime. Now, we know that in India we have seen dowry death. You know what is dowry? Now, the dowry is the money, gifts, and property given by the bride's family to the groom during marriage. Every day's newspaper you must have seen so many dowry deaths are there. When family, some bride's family, they refuse to pay any dowry, or they cannot satisfy them because they don't have any money, they are poor, and so husband and the husband's family is giving them inhuman treatment. So there are several dowry deaths. So there was one Dowry Prohibition Act in 1961 that declares that taking and giving dowry is a crime. So now it comes this point of our constitution and its features. What is in our constitution? It includes all the principles and provision, ideals and rules which are necessary to govern so many people. India is a multinational people, multicultural people, multi-religious people. So there has to be some rules and regulation what is written. Now, it provides the guidelines for governing a country and safeguard all streams of people by treating them on equal footing. All of them are treated equally. It ensures political stability, peace, maintenance of the rule of law in a country. So, rule of law implies that no one is above the law. Now comes the term constitution. What is the meaning of constitution? Constitution means an order or anything settled upon or arranged. Now it refers specifically to a body of rules, regulations and provisions that defines the fundamental political principles and outlines the structure, procedures, powers and duties of a government. Now, almost all the independent countries where democracy, monarchy or any other form of government exists, they have their own constitution. The Constitution of India was framed after India had witnessed 200 years of colonial rule, the freedom struggle, the national movement, partition of the country and spread of communal violence. These were in the minds of the leaders before they formed this constitution. Their main aim was to give India a constitution which will fulfill all the cherished ideal of all the people, and they will establish a democratic society. So the drafting committee was formed to frame Indian constitution. Now, why we need a constitution? We need the constitution. It is playing a crucial role for proper functioning of a democratic government. It is the constitution that defines the roles and powers of people, of elected candidates, representatives, the members of parliament and state legislative assemblies, and it also the basis of guideline mentioned in the constitution that any democratic government frames law for different purposes. Now, what are the main functions of our constitution? The Indian constitution serves different purposes. Number one, it lays out certain ideals or principles that determine the structure, nature and duties of the government in our country. Next, it helps to serve as a set of rules and principles that everybody should respect. And third, the country has different communities who belong to diverse religious, economic and cultural backgrounds. So, if there is no rule, then there should be conflict, maybe a conflict among themselves. So, there is a set of rules that everybody should abide by. Now, constitution contains rules to prevent any domination of the majority over the minority. And next point is, our constitution defines the nature of the country's political system. It serves the purpose of providing guidelines that govern decision making. In the constitution, powers of state and center are clearly defined. Now, the laws and dissent. This is the last point. In a democracy, laws are made for the people's welfare and benefit. And many times, there are such protests have brought great changes in the law. Now, that is how the dissent helps. Now, number one is Vernacular Press Act. During the time of British trade, there were many laws against which people expressed their dissatisfaction, their disagreement. One of them was Vernacular Press Act of 1878. This law repressed the freedom of vernacular press. Under this law, newspapers, Indian languages to be censored before it is sent to press. Now, this act ordered all the Indian newspapers to submit their proof before publication. Under this act, many of the local papers were fined, their editors were jailed. All the prominent leaders of India condemned this act and demanded its immediate withdrawal. Act was finally withdrawn. Now, the second is Salt Satyagraha. All of you know, this is another example of dissent, is Salt Satyagraha in 1930. So, the Salt Act stated that salt manufacture was a British monopoly. In response, Mahatma Gandhi, along with his followers, marched from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi in Gujarat to make salt. A large number of supporters followed him in the historical Dandi March. The Dandi March drew worldwide attention to the Indian independence movement through extensive newspaper coverage. The Satyagraha against the salt tax continued for almost a year, ending with Gandhiji's release from jail. Now, this was all about this chapter. I will give you questions, answers all in your next class.